So once we acknowledge that fact, it's easier to see why rent in central areas of Toronto, especially downtown, is less than GTA and Toronto at large. Because Toronto rent now cheaper in downtown Toronto as compared to other areas in the GTA. We'll talk about it today. Let's do it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, you can find my contact information in the description box. Furthermore, feel free to subscribe, like this video, and comment with your feedback. Your subscription will be much appreciated if you happen to enjoy my videos. If not, feel free to unsubscribe, dislike, and leave negative feedback. I'm always open to that as well. In today's video, as I said off the top, we're going to discuss the average rent in downtown Toronto and central Toronto as compared to the GTA. I'm going based on some of my own numbers in conjunction with a report that came out by a real estate firm. It's a very good report. I left credits in the description box. We're going to go through two charts from that report and I'm going to break down and give you further analysis as to why certain things are happening. Off the top, average cost of renting a home in central Toronto dropped to $21.32 in the month of December. This is just central Toronto. For Toronto at large, which accounts for eastern Toronto and western Toronto, so if you're familiar with the TREB map, the E's and the W's, the average rent for the entirety of Toronto is higher by about $20, not about, but $20 exact. It's at $21.52 per month. And lastly, the GTA at large, right? The average cost of rent is $2,227, right? So we have three figures right now. The average of central Toronto, which the majority of is downtown Toronto, the average cost of rent in Toronto at large, and the average cost of rent in the GTA. Okay, so now we have these three figures, right? And now we have this chart at the bottom of the screen. We have the figure for central Toronto, we have the figure for Toronto at large, and the GTA. Now, to me, what's most surprising, as is implied in this chart, is that for the first time in a long time, the average cost of rent in the GTA is higher than the average cost of rent, not only in Toronto at large, but central Toronto, majority of which is accounted for midtown to downtown. So we're talking about the Yonge Eglinton to the Lakeshore. And why is this happening? Well, one thing to understand before I explain why this is happening is that these figures, right, the average cost of rent is accounted for all property types, right? So not just condominiums, but freehold properties along with condominium townhomes, right? So it's all property types that can be rented. So once we acknowledge that fact, it's easier to see why rent in central areas of Toronto, especially downtown, is less than GTA and Toronto at large, because the majority of the property types in these areas that are down in central Toronto and downtown are condominiums. And although all rental properties have been hit hard because the rental market at large has decreased and diminished, what's been especially hit the hardest is condominiums. And when condominiums make up more of the rental properties in a given area, naturally that given area, the rents will decrease more because the condominiums are dragging the average down much more than residential freehold properties are dragging the average down. And in the GTA, you have more residential freehold properties than the downtown core. Yet, this is not to say, and just to be very clear, that a two-story detached rental property downtown as compared to a very comparable and like two-story detached rental property in Richmond Hill. This is not to say that the downtown two-story detached property is cheaper than the Richmond Hill comparable one. Maybe in some cases they are, but on average, the downtown residential freehold properties are much more expensive to their comparable respective units or buildings in the GTA. So the cost of rent for a residential freehold property downtown on average is still higher than the comparable ones in the GTA. However, are more of those residential freehold rental properties in the GTA because it's huge. The GTA, when you just compare the GTA just to the downtown core, I mean, it's not a comparison. Thus, given that fact, the rental rates there have held up better, although obviously, as we see from the chart, they are still down. Now, in my opinion, even a better chart is the following one. This shows the percentage change in average rent price year over year. And this shows the exact point I was trying to make, and it actually implicates a larger point about the Toronto GTA real estate market, which is the rental market downtown is most volatile. As you can see from this secondary chart, when we look at the blue line in this graph, wherein the highest peaks are represented by the triangle-like curve of the blue line, and the lowest dips are similarly represented by the blue line in this graph. 2013 and mid 2018, and now as we have it in 2020 and 2021. One last key takeaway from both of these graphs is the following. We see a steady decline this time in all three markets for rent. Whereas in the past, we've seen sudden spikes and sudden drops. Clearly, this graph indicates that none of this has been sudden whatsoever. And if you've watched any of my videos on this channel dating all the way back to March of last year, I've been going through it month by month. Weird way, we can actually surmise that in the short run, the market is not volatile. It's actually a cold market, but it's steadily cold for the rental side of things. So I guess we could take solace in the fact that it's not a volatile market. We can actually read the market and predict it relatively well, within reason, obviously. But it doesn't mean it's good news. It means, hey, things are still going down. Rates are still dropping at a steady rate, though. They're not dropping and going up and dropping and going up. They're actually dropping at a steady, somewhat predictable rate. Anyways, those are some key takeaways. If you have any further questions, leave them in the comments or get in touch with me via Gmail. You can find all that contact information in the description box. As well, subscribe, like this video, and yeah, stay in touch with any of your questions and stay safe. Thank you very much.